Okay, this is how you create a Google spreadsheet. Go to your Google Drive online, click Create Spreadsheet, and then I'm going to get this on half of my screen, and I'm going to get that PDF file that's in your lesson plan on the other half of my screen, and I'm just going to start entering the data before I start to format it. So I'm just going to go My Course Schedule, and it's not going to look like the PDF file right now, but we'll come back to that. In A2 block, and then 1, enter, and if you click on 1 and drag down, it just copies the number. However, if you type 2 here and hit enter and select these 2 cells and then drag down, it'll continue to number. We only need to go to 8, so I'm going to select the ones that went too far and hit delete. Then I'm going to come up here to B2 and type teacher, and I'm just going to start to type in all the information. And when you're entering numbers, use the number keypad on your keyboard, and then hit enter. And that's when you're making a spreadsheet. You should always enter data by columns. So I'm using my number keypad right now. Okay, I'm going to come up here to D2 and type grade. And for now, just type in the numbers. You're going to format them as percentages, and I will show you how to do that in a minute. 98, 89, 78, 88, and then 10% increase. And I'm going to leave that blank. Now I'm going to start to format it. I can see that my title here needs to be merged and centered above all columns of information. And in this case, this spreadsheet goes from column A all the way over to column E. So to select, I'm going to point right in the middle of the cell, and I'm going to click and drag. That allows you to select. To merge and center, right here's the button, and when you point at it, it says merge cells, so I'll do that, and that needs to be centered. So for the alignment, here's the alignment button. I'm going to choose center, and I can see that the contents of this needs to be in bold, so I'll bold it. Okay, now I'm going to select the information in row 2, and it appears to be centered, all the information. So I'm going to click on the alignment button again, center, and these all need to be underlined. So I'm going to go to Format menu, and I'm going to choose Underline. Okay, the numbers in this column will not be used in a calculation, so to make it look good, instead of right next to the names, I'm going to select these cells, and I'm going to center those. Okay, and by default in an Excel spreadsheet, words will always align at the left, numbers will always align at the right, so that they can be used in calculations. I am now going to format the grades here. Oh, I can see I made an error here. That needs to be 88. Okay, so I'm going to select the grades, and I'm going to make them be a percentage by formatting the number. I'm going to go to Format. Actually, if I look here at my toolbar, I can see Format as percent, and I'm going to do that. Okay, and these are not what I'm after. Okay, so now I'm going to click up here, and I'm just going to type 87. And now it returns the percentage. So I'm going to go 98. I'm just going to re-enter them all here. 78, 98, 98, 89, 78, and 88. Okay. Next, I need to put a formula in this cell that will return what my grade would be if I could increase it by 10%. And when you're doing spreadsheets, you always start off a formula by hitting the equal sign, and you want to always, as much as possible, try to reference cells and not type numbers. So the number that I want to increase is this one. So, and when I click on it, it returns the address, which is good. And I want it to increase by 10%. So I'm going to multiply by 0.1 and hit enter. Okay, now that's what it will return. Okay, that's not the answer I want, though. I want to add that to this, so I need to use order of operations. I'm going to use parentheses to tell it to do that, but then I'm going to tell it to add that to that amount, D3, and hit enter. Okay, so that is the formula. And then to copy the formula, I'm going to point at the handle and drag down, and that copies the formula to each cell. Okay, now I'm going to check the lesson plan here and see what else I need to do to this sound. Okay. It says here to use the sum function to find the total number of students in all classes, max to find the largest, min to find the smallest, average to find the average. So we're going to use functions for this. So I'm going to come back to my spreadsheet. Okay. Right here is where I want to find the total number of students combined in all of these classes. And to do that, this is the function button here. A function is a pre-made formula in a spreadsheet. So I'm going to click here and choose sum. And now I just have to tell it what cells to add. So I'm going to click here and drag, oops, and I lost my function. I must have clicked off of it. So I'm going to hit delete on that. Try it again. I'm going to click sum. And since my cursor's flashing between the parentheses, I'm going to point here, click, and drag. And so what this is saying is add from C3 to C10, C3 to C10. Enter. So there's 174 students. Okay, and I'm going to put a label here for this. I'm going to say total students. Okay, what I want to find next is the largest class. So I'm going to come over here, and this one I'm going to choose max, and I'm going to click and drag just to cell C10 because I don't want to include the total. And then I'm going to put largest class size. Okay, and see how that is. It's going over, but I'm not going to have anything in these two cells, so I'm going to merge these cells. I'm going to select those two, and right here's my merged cells. Okay, and I'm actually going to align all these up and on the right side so it's closer to the number it's representing. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing for this one. Okay, and I'm going to use min to find the smallest class. And again, I'm only going to select through row 10 because that's my last class. Hit enter, and this is going to be the smallest class size. And again, I'm going to merge these and align at the right. Okay, and then I'm going to find the average class size. So average, find it for the 8 classes, and right here. Okay, merge, align right. Okay, and now this average returned a number that has 2 decimal places. I'm going to make these also have 2 decimal places. Okay, so I'm going to select C11 to C13, and to increase or decrease decimal places, we need to look around, and actually I think we need to go to here. Okay, I'm going to click the down arrow here, and here it's showing how we can format numbers. And I'm going to pick, actually I'm going to pick none of those. I'm going to go to format. Let's see if I can find here. Actually, to determine decimals, you click on the down arrow here, and right here we can do custom decimals. And for decimal places, I'm just going to say 1. Okay, and I'm going to make this one have 1. Okay. Okay, so we have that. So now we're going to come over here. We did the formula to calculate the increase. And we're going to do some formatting features here. So let's use the borders. We're going to select this. Right here's borders. And these are all the different kind of borders. I'm going to do just the outline. And right here I can change the border color. I'm going to make this blue. I can change the border style if I want. And it looks like it's just the two sides. However, if we were to print this, these are some options we can pick too. A lot of times with spreadsheets, you want to choose landscape to get it to fit on one page. You could tell it no grid lines, which means it wouldn't do the grid lines between the cells. I kind of like the grid lines there. It breaks things up a little bit. Include the title document, sheet name, page number. And then when you click print, it's going to let you see, choose your printer, but it's going to also give you a print preview. And here you can see what it looks like. See, it's going to print the grid lines. It's printing the page number and the title, and right now the sheet's untitled, so that's why it looks like that, but you can see our border is there. You could tell it no grid lines, and it would look even better with the borders. You can use shading. I'm going to click this. Here's my shading button, our fill color. I could make this be blue, and I could make my font in this cell be white. So you can do different things like that. Down here at the bottom, you can change the sheet name by clicking on sheet 1 and just say schedule. Okay. And the directions in our lesson plan say that we need to copy the spreadsheet and paste it into another sheet in the same workbook. So I'm going to select these, and I'm going to just right click on the selection and choose to copy. And then down here, I'm going to click the plus sign to add a sheet. And in A1, I'm going to do Control V and paste. And now, let's see if they have a name. Okay, and we're going to do it for next year. We're going to estimate. So you just change some of the teachers' names here, and when you change the students, watch this, how these change down here. That's because we referenced cells. We have C3 to C10. We didn't just add the numbers 10 plus 22 plus 34. So when you use cell addresses and things get changed, the formulas automatically reflect that. Same thing over here with grade. See how the 10% increase changes because our grade changed? It's because we referenced D3, and that's why. Okay. So now let's give this one a name. I'm going to click sheet 2, and I'm going to say next year. And that's my name for that one. Okay, and now we're going to create a bar chart. Okay, so to create a bar chart, to create any chart, you need to have text and numbers selected. So I'm going to select, I'm going to do just for class size. Actually, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do teacher, okay, and then I'm going to hold down the control key on my keyboard, and I'm going to point and click and drag. Oh, it won't let me do that. Okay, it has to be consecutive cells. So I'm just going to select all of these, and I'm going to go Insert, Chart. Okay, and now it's going to let me customize it. That's what the first one will look like. Here's what another one might look like, or this one, or this one. I'm going to choose this one, and I'm going to say, well, and then you can click here on charts, and there's a bunch of different ones you can pick. You can choose to customize here. I'm going to change the chart title to class schedule. The legend is going to be aligned to the right, but we can put it at the bottom if we want. Okay. We can see that we don't know what those represent, so we're going to need to fix that. Here you can change stuff with your access, the horizontal access title. This would be, and this is kind of confusing because our chart has different things in it, so I'm going to cancel this. Okay, let's make this first chart be class with students. Insert